So when you've been testing smartphones since the Java and Symbian days, you really want smartphones to really change, And I'm really happy to admit that for the past few years, I've seen that great change in smartphone industry. We have seen one of the best, form factors of devices that smartphone industry could offer. We started seeing flippable phones that actually have a glass bending in the middle. Then we saw foldable phones that from a phone become a tablet. It was all great novelty factor, but I was waiting for the day when this novelty factor becomes a necessity, becomes something that average consumers can buy and don't have to spend so much and don't feel like guinea pigs, where the smartphone companies are testing the devices on consumers. Remember the first series of Samsung Galaxy Fold devices? When the reviewers started reviewing it, it was chipping apart, it was falling apart, the displays were broken, and it all felt like people were being tested. It was actually more of a prototype given to people to test, which I always oppose. And I'm happy to announce that a company has tested foldable smartphone for over 4 years and tested 6 different iterations of it, and then finally when they thought they're ready, they launched the device. Yes, we're talking about the OPPO FIND N. And by Find N, they don't mean finding Nick Hill, they mean finding N, their own foldable smartphone. And I'm really happy to see such a great form factor, and it really shows that OPPO has worked over 4 years on this device, because everything about this device is perfect. Just one thing is missing, and we'll get to that. So what are we waiting for? Let's go ahead and unbox the OPPO Find N device. In the box, you get the OPPO Find N smartphone, USB data cable, charger, SIM ejector tool, exclusive service card, warranty card, safety guide, and a quick start guide. So now that we have unboxed the device and you've seen what comes in the box, let's talk about the design of the OPPO Find N device. So as you can see, it sits in my hand and I can use it with single hand operation. That's one thing that was missing from foldable devices, especially the Samsungs of the world, the Huawei's of the world. The display of the Samsung Galaxy Fold, even in the third generation, the Fold 3, is so narrow when the phone is folded that you can hardly type on it. And the ergonomics is so bad, so tall, that hardly usable with single hand when it's folded or unfolded. That's what OPPO worked on, and I can really tell you this phone is one of the most compact smartphones. Now if you're wondering how small are we talking here, how compact are we talking about? Well, for size comparison, I'm placing it next to the iPhone 13 mini, and you can see it's exactly the same size when the phone is folded. So the outer display is 5.49 inches, and it's not like a narrow or tall display. It's a proper display with an 18:9 ratio, which makes it a perfect smartphone when you're folding it and using it. And when you fold it, it becomes a 7.1 inches immersive display, which is even nicer to use because you get extra real estate and still you can do all the things single-handedly. So OPPO not only has worked on the hardware, the hinge, the display, the form factor, but also has worked over the years over the software, and you can feel it when you start using it. The flex form mode that they've added lets you do a lot of things single-handedly, and also when you have opened the phone or unfolded the device. Like for example, you can create or capture great panoramic shots. You can use the smartphone as a selfie camera even with the primary 50 megapixel sensor. Well, I'm not going to reveal the camera right now. We'll talk about the camera later. And to capture time lapse, you can keep the phone like this and capture the stars and the galaxy. You never know. No pun intended. Now all this has been enabled thanks to the ultra thin glass that OPPO has used, and for the first time in a foldable device you'll hardly see the crease, which is a great deal. The way they have worked the hinge is superb. The satisfying sound that you get after clipping it down. So thanks to this sound, I might just do the whole 2 lakh times of opening and closing it down because I love this sound, but I don't want to run it over right away. And that 2 lakh times is just the minimum number that the company commits. It's not like as soon as you're done 2 lakh, the phone will crack into half. It's not gonna happen. It's just like kind of giving a commitment that will at least last 2 lakh times of this. This is the first foldable smartphone where you hardly see the crease, and the reason is the hinge technology that they use. The glass doesn't fold into half. Instead, forms like a drop, a water drop, and that's the reason when you fold the paper into half, you see there's a crease, but when you hold the paper and there's a bulge at the bottom, you never see the crease, and that's the exact kind of technology that they use. Getting more into display, we'll talk about the display quality. Now, display quality is really up there. Peak brightness is 1000 nits, which is comparable to all the flagships out there. You also get 120 Hz of refresh rate on the inside, while you will be doing most of the gaming inside, so makes sense. On the outside though, you get a 60 Hz refresh rate. Most of the tasks you'll be doing, like content consuming, gaming and all, will be happening on a 120 Hz LTPO screen, so it should not matter. But then again, maybe in the next iteration we'll see similar refresh rates on both the screens, as this is the first attempt and it's really good. Now the display feels square because it's almost like a square, and that feels nice, and as I've mentioned all over again, best for the ergonomics. It's great to look at and it feels really nice. The display aspect ratio is 8.4:9. Now that's not conventional, but on this 7.1 inches screen it feels really nice. All of OPPO apps have been made to look good and do all the multitasking and all, but for the third-party apps, it's still a lot to be done because it's just come out for the developers and they'll take time to fix the screen size according to their apps, and still there's a lot of work to be done. We'll talk about that when we get to the software, and that's what one thing that I said that makes it almost perfect, and we'll get there. Now, continuing about the design, it is a foldable smartphone, might feel bulky. I have the Moto Razr next to it, and you can see all the foldable or flippable devices when folded will feel thick than a conventional phone because there's a lot happening in there, and then you have a very thin display, the ultra thin display. But when you unfold or flip that phone, it becomes a really thin phone. Well, the Moto is definitely one of the thinnest flippable or foldable displays, but I cannot say that for the Find N. And the reason I'm saying that is because there's a lot happening in here. It has got the biggest battery of foldable smartphones. It's got a 4500 mAh of battery. We've been using this smartphone, testing this smartphone. The display is always on. We have put it on a 30-minute activity and the battery hardly depletes. But the reason it is thick, as I was coming to, is the battery that is put in it. And I think I would give that to OPPO because I would not mind a thicker phone if it gives me extra battery life. We've seen that with the Apple iPhone 13 series. They are a bit thicker, but they give you extra battery life, and similar is the case with the OPPO Find N. They are a bit thicker, but a 4500 mAh battery divided into two, both making it a 4500 mAh battery phone. Talking about the ports, you get dual firing speakers at the bottom, which is Dolby Atmos supported, and you also get a USB Type-C charging port that supports 33 watt OPPO flash charge, 15 watts of wireless charging, and also supports reverse wireless charging. And on the top there are no ports, you only get the secondary microphone. So at the bottom you also get a SIM tray slot, which is a dual SIM nano slot, so you can put in two SIMs and use it at the same time. On the left is the volume rocker, on the right is the fingerprint sensor and the power button integrated into one. You also get face unlock thanks to the selfie camera, and it is really quick, whether using the face unlock or the integrated fingerprint sensor on the power button. So OPPO has also very cleverly made this phone a mixture of shiny and matte. Well, you see the camera module is like what you find on the Find X series of smartphones, especially the Find X3. You get that 50 megapixel sensor. So they're not like giving away the camera module because it's a flippable or a foldable phone. They have continued giving the best set of cameras, and OPPO's cameras are great. So you get a 50 megapixel primary sensor camera, you get an ultra wide lens, you get a telephoto lens, you get a 32 megapixel selfie camera on the front, and you also get a 32 megapixel selfie camera. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 set of cameras on a foldable device. I'm loving the way technology is moving, and I'm really happy to see so much happening in so less time. And you'll also notice this camera bump happening, and there is a slope slanted texture around the camera module, making it a lot seamlessly done on the outer body of the phone, and minimalistic branding on the right edge of the smartphone, which is nice. Last thing I'll point out is on the hinge you'll see design for Find, which is like telling you straight away it's a Find series, which is a flagship series. Now let's talk about the software. Remember in the beginning of the video I said it's an almost perfect device barring one thing. Now that one thing is the software. Well, the software is perfect for the country it's launched for. Yes, the sad news is this perfect foldable smartphone, the one I definitely recommend and love, is only limited to Chinese market. So anywhere across the world you're watching this video, most probably you're not watching this video in China because YouTube is banned there, and you will not get it anywhere else. and that's the reason it doesn't come with Google services. So all the software is optimized for the Chinese market. You get all the QQ messengers, TikToks, WeChat, and everything that the Chinese population use, and they have been optimized. And if you sideload Google apps or any apps that you use in the other parts of the world apart from China, you'll feel that it has not been fixed for this display. So once you open YouTube, you'll see that half and half screen is coming. Yes, obviously multitasking and all are there, but that's again just for the Chinese audience. I loved taking notes on this one while opening a browser and just swiping with 2 fingers and opening a note or something like to read while watching something. That is all great because it's not built with Google services. The Google apps are not optimized, and most of them won't even work. So you don't have Google Play Store, you'll have to sideload apps, or you can use the App Store, which is the app market by OPPO, to install apps. So the software is also very seamless when you're opening the screen, and the continuity features really work. And I really love the animation, the animated wallpapers they have included. So according to the tilt angle, the wallpaper is animating, and which is really nice and makes you unfold the phone all over and over again. For example, if I'm reading something on Chrome and I fold the display will be dark, but as soon as I click on it, I can start reading and continue reading. As you know, this phone doesn't come with Google services. It still has Android, which is Android version 11, and it is based on top of ColorOS version 12, which will now be on OPPO and OnePlus devices. In terms of software optimization, OPPO has also given you virtual RAM or RAM expansion option. This device is 512 and 12 GB of RAM, which is 512 GB of ROM and 12 GB of RAM, but you can further expand it into different options like 3 GB, 5 GB, and also 7 GB. So imagine adding 7 more GB of RAM to this smartphone. So in terms of special features, you get flexible windows, quick return bubble, and a smart sidebar. Now just because this is a foldable smartphone, OPPO didn't take away any feature. You get edge lighting, you get always on display, which is a great deal. When you keep your phone like this and there's edge lighting, the phone is ringing even if it's on silent, because you can see those lines running across. And thanks to the always on display, you're not always tapping on the phone to see notifications and time, and this again saves a lot of battery. So what's powering the OPPO Find N? Well, it's not the latest generation of Qualcomm that was just announced, because if they would have included that, the smartphone would have come out 6 months later. So to avoid that, they've given you the latest and the best that you can buy right now, which is the Snapdragon 888 processor paired with a 512 GB of ROM and 12 GB of RAM. And you get another iteration of this device, which is 256 GB and 8 GB of RAM. Now again, all these units, all these options are only available in China. The Chinese pricing for the base model is 7,699 yuan, which makes it $1,200, while the top end variant costs 8,999, which is 9,000 yuan, making it a $1,400 costing. And if you really want the OPPO Find N, you should find friends in China or try to order it online and get it somehow in the Indian market. You'll have to wait till 23rd of December when it goes on sale for the first time. So this device can be bought in 3 colors. We've been using the black one. You also get it in white and purple. The purple is a very different purple with bluish and purple tinge to it. The black and white are matte and shiny at the same time. So on that note, no pun intended, I think OPPO should launch the Find N globally, and everybody in the galaxy has the right to buy this smartphone. So the last line I would say, which OPPO has been saying it all over and over again, is this is the foldable smartphone which turns from novelty to necessity. Yes, foldable smartphone can become mainstream thanks to the OPPO Find N, but for that OPPO, you'll have to make it with global availability. Thanks for watching the Unbiased Blog. If you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and do share it with your friends and family.